Today we're talking about the 5 most common questions asked about cabbage so we can double your harvest. Number 1 is, when is the best time to plant cabbage? Cabbage is a cool season crop, so it prefers 60 degrees roundabout. So when it comes to springtime, we like to start our cabbage seeds indoors around February 15th so we can transplant March 15th. They will be established in the garden by April 15th, which is our last frost date. Now, what's really great is the magic of the fall garden. So when it comes to fall gardening, you have 2 options. You can direct sow or start seeds indoors. I opt to start ours indoors to avoid all the heat waves that come through, in July, August area. We like to start ours between June 15th and July 15th, relatively, to give you a little bit of a span there. That way they're transplanted by August 15th, so by October 15th, they are already established in our garden. Number 2, why is my cabbage not forming heads? When it comes to cabbage not forming heads, there's actually several factors that can be at play in the garden. If you want to drop your general area down in the comments below, I will help you troubleshoot exactly what could be going wrong in your garden. But here's the major ones. First will be temperature, and that's because if it's too cold and a frost hits a cabbage stem that's around the size of a pencil, it can actually cause it to think that it's already going through a cold spell and needs to hurry up and bolt, which means go to flower to produce seed. Now, on the far side of cabbage being a cool season crop, it also doesn't prefer the heat. Anything above 80 degrees causes them to stunt and pout a little bit. It'll start producing leaves and then trying to bolt as well. Number 2 could be nutrient deficiency. With cabbage being a leafy green, it needs a lot of nitrogen. What we like to do is hit it with the Alaska fish fertilizer about every 2 weeks. You can also make your own fish emulsion. I have a video I'll link down below to do that. It works out great, but pre-game warning, it takes about 6 months or so to get it to where it's an actual liquid fertilizer you can use in the garden. If you're wanting a faster DIY that actually does get the job done, you can also make a lovely weed tea. It doesn't smell great. It's not a great process, but long story short, throw all the weeds from your garden in a bucket, let it sit there in the water for a week. Once you can start smelling the ferment, which you will smell it, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you smell it, mix it about 1 cup to a gallon of water and just play with that ratio until you figure out exactly how much your cabbage actually needs. But now here's the big kicker when it comes down to nitrogen. Because cabbage is a leafy green and prefers a lot of nitrogen, you can also overdo the nitrogen. You could do a soil test to see if you actually need to supplement nitrogen for your cabbage, or what I do is I just watch the cabbage. If it's producing a whole bunch of leaves but no head, I cut back the nitrogen to every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, until I see that it's forming a head. Part 3 is, of course, spacing. So when it comes to cabbage, I go with a 12-inch spacing. It gives me heads that are about this size, which like this one, this is what happens whenever you overdo it with nitrogen. We mixed a lot of rabbit manure into the portion of the bed that the purple cabbage was in. And I'm pretty sure because of the look of it, which I'll put right here, it had a whole lot of leaves but not a lot of head. So got to make sure you're double checking your nitrogen. You can go 12 to 18 is about the recommended. If you want a bigger head, because these plants got about 18 inches touching each other, so it hindered them a little bit. I prefer the less than 5 pounds because a 5-pound cabbage head, anything over that is more than we're going to use in one sitting. Unless I'm fermenting, I really don't need it. If I do a bunch of heads at 12 inches instead of a lesser heads at 18 to 24 inches, I get more cabbage because I have more plants, even if they're smaller, and the smaller is just more easier to use in the kitchen. Now, if you're wanting to grow some true giants just because you can, go to 24 inches, get a mammoth-sized cabbage, and let her eat. But I have heard that the bigger cabbage are not as flavorful and a lot of bad things about them, and I'm all about what I can eat or want to eat versus giants. And if you're wondering if going further than 24 inches is really going to help you get really, really big heads. Unless you're growing a mammoth breed that specifically says it needs like 36 inches, anything 24 for a standard cabbage, the golden early acre, this one, standard red cabbage, will end up being a waste of space. Just saying, 12, 24 inches. 12 will give you smaller heads like so, perfect for the kitchen. 24 is going to give you mammoth heads, take a lot more space, but produce less food in a smaller space. Number 3, how to keep cabbage heads from splitting. If you have a dry spell, then a big rain, cabbage heads will split. The main goal here is consistent moisture. So your cabbage are going to want 1 to 2 inches of water a week. We do about a gallon per plant. Seems to work pretty well. We use grass clippings to keep the moisture in. Now another technique, if you've had the dry spell, even if you've been watering, and you've got heads that are ready to harvest, you can actually go out with your spade, go in on both sides of the cabbage plant, dig down on both sides, severing some of the roots, and it will actually slow the absorption of water to the head, which will keep it from splitting. Another way you can accomplish this is doing the twist technique, but instead of snapping it all the way off, just twist it enough to where you hear the crunch where some of it still connects at the bottom, and that will also sever some of the water uptake during the storm. Oh, I got it stand back up. Sweet. Number 4, how do you keep cabbage worms off of? We all just became best friends if you're watching this part specifically because we have the common enemy, because I cannot stand a cabbage worm. Like even the butterflies, I'm like, oh, those are cute. But they're not butterflies, they're moths. And they are cabbage by under the leaves, producing their cabbage worms. And it's just a nightmare because it's a never-ending battle when you see those little white moths fluttering around like little fairies in the garden. But how do we stop them? Well, first you can do a row cover. They can't get in there and lay their eggs. Bada bing, bada boom, cabbage is saved. My problem with that is I don't have a lot of luck with it, and it's kind of a hassle. It's just not my preferred method. Does it work? Is it effective? Absolutely. Not my preferred method. Now, option number 2, which is an organic option, and it does work, is you can go through and pick the green worms off. My problem with that is you miss a lot of them. Like you can sit there and try your hardest to get all of them, but it just seems to actually work. The chickens appreciate all my hard labor for trying to remove them all because they like their snacks, but they're still there. What I normally lean into, Bacillus thuringiensis, which is my go-to when I see cabbage worm damage. It is more commonly referred to as BT. It is a organic pest control that is derived from bacteria in the soil. And what I like to do is in every other week and spray this at night so that way it does not affect any of the beneficial insects, because most of your insects that eat your plants are doing it at night, whereas in your more daytime beneficial insects, of course, aren't out there. And that gives the time to dry before it can actually be touched by anything that could be considered beneficial. It's not supposed to affect them because they're not eating your plants, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. My other go-to for this is, of course, going to be spinosad, which is Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. And the reason why I use that is for the simple fact that it seems like as soon as I get cabbage loofers and the cabbage worms off of my cabbage, within a few weeks, I'll start seeing flea beetle damage. I like to switch it up. Plus, with the spinosad, you can only use it 5 times a year. We like to do that every other week as a preventative, but I will not use it unless I physically see damage where something is eating my plants, just to limit how many times I use it in a year. And that's still also organic. It's the fact that since it's such a light pesticide and a bacteria from the soil, eventually the pests build up an immunity to it, and then it's no longer effective. You're just out there spraying for no reason. I will have links to both of these down in the description below if you want to go check them out. How long does it take cabbage to grow, and how soon is it ready to harvest? So variety is king here. You've got varieties that can take 60, 70 days, and you've got varieties that can take 180 to 200 days. It's all going to depend on how big that cabbage is going to be. But most of your standard cabbage is 80 to 160 days. Now, how to tell when it's ready to harvest. So if you grab your cabbage and it feels like you're kind of grabbing a sponge and squishing it a little bit, let it run another week because it's not ready. If you grab it and it's like a softball and it's very tight on the inside, it's ready to go. Give it a grab, give it the full twist, pop it off, cut the roots, throw the excess leaves to the pigs. You can eat those, but I like to give some snacks to our animals there at the homestead. That's how we handle them. And if we're talking general size, your cabbage heads are typically going to range from 4 to 10 inches. If you're growing mammoths, of course, go for that mammoth size. But most standard cabbage is 4 to 10 inches. I hope this is helpful to you. If you want to see more videos like this that can also help you through your 2026 garden, I have a playlist right over here where I've stacked everything from seed to harvest for my season so far. And I'll see you in the next one.